Buenas tardes. Volvemos al curso Políticas Europeas, Políticas Culturales Europeas y los retos de la integración. En este caso ya en la segunda sesión de tarde sobre el reto de la integración a través de la cultura, un desafío posible. Como comentábamos esta mañana, hemos realizado una serie de cambios en el programa. Y bueno, como habréis visto en el programa, teníamos la intervención de Stefano Dominioni, que ha hecho todo lo posible por estar con nosotros, también incluso intentando enviar a alguien de su equipo o del acuerdo parcial ampliado del Consejo de Europa que se dedica a la promoción de las rutas culturales europeas. Ha sido imposible, pero aún así él ha mostrado el interés por este curso y su interés por estar aquí con nosotros y hacer llegar su mensaje. Él está ahora en Maastricht, en unas conferencias. Le hemos secuestrado durante unos minutos, ha tenido que volver al hotel para poderse conectar y tener una conexión segura, con lo cual esperamos que esto funcione. Ya hemos hecho una prueba en un curso anterior y salió bien, con lo cual es una posibilidad de tener a alguien con nosotros que está lejos y que también puede contribuir a enriquecer nuestras ponencias. Stefano Dominioni es director del Instituto de Rutas Culturales Europeas del Consejo de Europa. Él ha trabajado para el Consejo de Europa desde el 2001, donde trabajó en la Dirección General de Educación y Cultura y Juventud y en la Dirección General de Cohesión Social, y se está especializado sobre todo en políticas públicas europeas y principalmente realiza su labor en el Consejo de Europa, pero como os he comentado hace un momentito, está ahora de director del Instituto de Rutas Culturales Europeas, que es un centro que nos va a explicar él ahora, con lo cual tampoco voy a entrar en detalle, pero es el centro de gestión de ese gran proyecto que se lanzó ya hace unos años y que ha tenido varios cambios en los últimos años, especialmente en el 2010, que maneja las rutas culturales europeas. Hemos creído que era un buen ejemplo dentro de este panel sobre el reto de la integración a través de la cultura, un desafío posible, nos preguntamos, pero realmente este proyecto de rutas está haciendo posible que a través de la cultura pues realmente se pueda contribuir a esa integración europea, ¿no? A gran escala, ¿no? Sin más, Stefano, ante todo, darte la bienvenida. Sé que entiendes un poco español. Aquí tú puedes hablar inglés porque tenemos traducción simultánea, con lo cual ningún problema. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Y the floor is yours. You have to look in front, just in front. Okay? Thank you.
Miguel Ángel, muchas gracias. Bienvenidos a todos los participantes. I'm going to switch to English, and I hope that the connection is good and that you can hear me fine.
Yeah.
I have first of all like to thank the organizers of the event. I have looked at the program. It's a very interesting program with lots of interesting topics on European integration, on culture, on also the socioeconomic and the sustainability issues that are linked to the work you do. Carlos Quinto, the cultural roots that was certified by the Council of Europe just a few years ago, is a very important cultural route. It crosses many countries, and it has a potential for becoming a real landmark in the architecture of the Cultural Roots program. It's a very, very solid program, and we were really delighted to have Carlos Quinto in our network. The Cultural Roots program now is a program that has almost 30 years, established in 1987. You all know that the Santiago de Compostela was the first cultural route of the Council of Europe certified, but in the years, the program has grown substantially. It is now a program that features over 30 routes, and that has a variety of themes, from history, from art, architecture, religious heritage, cultural heritage, also landscape and development, regional development, in the framework of really a pan-European project. So the program is now in its almost 30 years implementation, and it's growing steadily. There is a clear link between the values of the Council of Europe, human rights, democracy, and rule of law, and what we do in the Cultural Roots program. we really put an emphasis on fostering cultural diversity, educational opportunities, citizenship, European values, rule of law, democracy, and cultural diversity. The program really fosters intercultural dialogue as a way to bring cultures and people together. And at the same time, there is a socioeconomic component to it, because we really build cultural roots that are linked to the environment and to the regional development of the countries that they cross, so that small and medium enterprises, for example, can benefit from the development of a cultural route, but also young entrepreneurs, creative industries can also benefit. And the program has grown also in the membership of European countries involved. We have now over 50 countries. So not only the kind of core European Union members, but also a much larger portfolio of countries that span from Portugal to Russia, from Iceland to Tunisia. So from north to south, from west to east. And it's also a program that is very interesting also for countries outside the European continent. We have had interest from Latin America and from the Mediterranean. So we are really a big family. We're growing every year. And this is one of the ways to really show that the European project is a project about our culture, our values, bringing people together, developing cultural diversity, but also respecting cultural diversity and intercultural dialogue, sharing our heritage, showing that we are part of a continent that has a number of building core values and that we do share. So to a certain extent, it's a cultural program, but it's also a political program, and it's really linked to the values of the Council of Europe, as really enshrined in the European Cultural Convention, but also in the European Convention on Human Rights, where the respect to diversity is really one of our building blocks. So this is in a nutshell what we do as a Cultural Roots program. And we have now, as I said briefly, over 30 certified routes, many across Spain. I think over 20 across Spain, from Santiago de Compostela to Carlos V, to El Llegado Andaluz, the La Ruta Eitervitis, the Wine Road, the Olive Tree Road, just to mention a few. And Spain is a very important partner of our program. The Ministry of Culture, and increasingly also the tourism authorities are really a very important partner, and they contribute to our activities. So this is, Miguel Angel, an introduction to what we do, but I'm happy to take questions from the floor if you have specific aspects that you would like me to develop in more detail.
So thank you very much, Stefano. We can open the floor for questions, and maybe there will be some doubts about what you do specifically. I will start with a question that maybe I think it will be interesting for just considering what was said in the previous contributions in this course. And well, we were talking about the civil society, we were talking about the European Union and European institutions. We saw some examples of other initiatives that are launched by the European institutions, some of them in which we work with or in which we are partners. Which is the relation between the Institute of the Institute of European Cultural Roots and the European institutions, the European Union institutions. And I know there is something going on, which is the future of this relationship you are having or you are trying to build right now. Can you explain us a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have a partnership with the European institutions, in particular with the European Parliament and with the European Commission. The Council of Europe Enlarged Agreement on Cultural Roots has a membership with the European Parliament and European Commission that sits on the board of our governing bodies. So we have always, when we do certify and evaluate cultural roots every year, the European Parliament and the European Commission participates in our activities. So there's an institutional relationship, but there's also a program-based relationship where we have a joint action with the European Commission, in particular with DG GROW, one of the Directorate General for Tourism, where we have an agreement by which we are provided some financial contribution in order to give visibility to our routes. So we have visibility campaigns. We have organized on activities online. We develop web pages dedicated to our routes. We print visibility material, and we do also training. There was recently a training in Luxembourg on funding opportunities organized in this framework. So we do have this kind of cooperation with DG GROW. And soon we will be developing also cooperation with DG EAC. It's the Education and Culture Directorate General in the framework of the year on cultural heritage. As you know, the Commission is discussing the launching of a 2018 year for European cultural heritage, and we will have activities in this framework. So we have a number of partnerships with the European Commission, and also we have an activity called European Heritage Days, very famous also in Spain, where we would like to develop Heritage Days activities on our cultural routes to promote jointly with the European Commission. So we have a number of partnerships going on, and we present on a regular basis in the European Parliament our cultural routes. The last presentation was in September, where we presented jointly with the European Historic Thermal Towns Association the cultural route. And we could very well suggest that Carlos Quinto be one of the next cultural routes to be presented at the European Parliament. There is a specific intergroup chaired, by the way, by a Spanish member of Parliament, Francisco Milán Mon. He's in charge of an intergroup on cultural routes in the European Parliament, and he's always very, very open, very, very nice to host presentations on cultural routes. So this is something that with Miguel Angel we could propose in the months to come, a presentation on the Carlos Quinto cultural route, but also on other routes across Spain.
Thank you, Stefano. We take that opportunity and that invitation with a lot of happiness, and we will work on that for sure. So I open the floor. I have more questions, but I want also the audience that maybe
Sure.
Some of the professors here or speakers in the last who are accompanying us in this course, or some of the students that are here, maybe you have a question. Taking advantage, you had the chance to talk with the director of the Institute for European Cultural Roots. People is shy. Maybe they don't know how to talk to a window, to a screen. They are not used to. Then I will have one more question, because I can tell you that Quintín, the manager of the European Cultural Roots for Charles V, is also here, and who will make also a short presentation, like an example of what is an European cultural route, after we'll have with you. But I think maybe people didn't ask, but you mentioned something in this relation with the European institution, especially that this relation started with the DG GROW, and mainly people, or some people, just see the European cultural routes like a touristic product. And I know we have some discussions even in our routes that, okay, there is always this discussion between people working in the historic field, in the cultural field, and which is there is a little bit battle between and people working in the touristic field. How do you see that confrontation that sometimes exists? Because, well, we know you are trying to manage that, and maybe it's good you explain us this double vision that people could have from the European cultural routes. Is this just economic, touristic products, so to make money in new touristic products? So there is you are putting more the emphasis on something more deep within the project.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Miguel Angel, for the question. As a matter of fact, there is a complementarity, the way we see it, between culture, tourism, economy, heritage. They should never be seen as mutually exclusive, They should be really seen in complementarity. If you look at the criteria for certification of the cultural roots of the Council of Europe, and also in the framework of the evaluation of the program every 3 years, the criteria speak very much about all these elements, that they are treated very much on an equal footing. There is clearly a cultural heritage element where we focus on the value of the cultural heritage per se. There is an educational element where we want to make sure that the cultural root is a heritage that we want to transmit through education. There's a youth element where we want to have youth involvement in the activities of the cultural root. There's an element linked to artistic creation and creativity that also has to be fulfilled by the cultural root. And of course, there's also touristic and economic dimension, but those are only two of the factors that play into the overall picture. And to give you an example more concrete, we are now developing also other partnership with other European institutions. We are looking at, as I said, the Director General of Culture and Education, but also the Director General of Regional Development, whereas regional development is really about developing the territorial component, community-based component of the roots. So we don't only are speaking to tourism or to the economy, but we're seeing really very much a holistic picture of the root as a whole, without forgetting the scientific aspect of it, where we have always a lot of attention for all the research, the scientific research that is done behind the cultural roots by universities, by institutes, museums. All that is very, very important for us as well.
Thank you, Stefano. Okay. So, well, and I must maybe add that when you certificate the root, it's not forever.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that when you certificate the root,
yes,
is it forever or?
No, as you very well know, it's not forever. There is every 3 years an evaluation. So every route that is certified by the Council of Europe has to go through a very serious evaluation every 3 years. There's an expert that looks at the file. There is a number of documents that have to be submitted. And since this year, we have introduced also field visit, where the expert goes to the routes to certify to verify a number of things. So it's very much a serious, strict certification process. Every 3 years, they are evaluated, and they are then submitted to a review, and they are then recertified, the case being by our governing board. This year, for example, we decertified one route. So one route is no longer part of a network. There was a route called the Hendrik Schickard route. It was a route that connected towns in Switzerland, France, and Germany, towns that were built by this famous architect, Hendrik Schickard. But one of the criteria for certification is no longer fulfilled, namely at least 3 countries, because the network is no longer active in Switzerland. So we decertified the route this year. So it's not forever. Hopefully it's forever, but we have to check that the route is in good health, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Stefano. So I think at least there is any questions from the floor. I don't see any hands raising. I think everything was quite clear. Well, there is one question here. Okay, so we give the micro to one of the colleagues here. You can present yourself and say where you come from.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Vengo de Madrid. Y bueno, yo quería preguntarle si hay, digamos, bueno, los parámetros en los que se rigen, digamos, para la elección de la ruta, a grosso modo, y bueno, pues si hay categorías dentro de la ruta, pues, de primera, de segunda, y básicamente, pues eso, en la elección de la ruta, pues qué tenéis, digamos, en cuenta para su elección. Y en otro lado, pues me imagino, bueno, que estará bastante publicitado y habrá, pues, estará, digamos, pues una página web o sitio donde se pueda mirar las diferentes rutas que hay por toda Europa. Muchas gracias.
Did you understand the question?
Miguel Ángel, if you could just briefly translate for me.
Yeah. Okay. So he said that which are more or less the criteria you have to follow to apply for the certification of the route. And then he also asks if there is different kinds of routes, if all of them are the same when they are certificated, or you have different levels or different categories of routes. So
Yeah. Okay.
that was the question.
Okay, very good. I will speak in English, and then if you could translate,
He's having,
if necessary.
There is simultaneous interpretation, so no problem. He will hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there are basic criteria. There's a number of criteria that have to be fulfilled. There is a resolution of the Committee of Ministers that sets the criteria. Miguel Angel will be able to send you the document, the reference document, if you're interested. But basically, there's a number of basic criteria. One is that the cultural route, to be a Council of Europe cultural route, has to have at least 3 countries members. That means that a legal association of municipalities, regions, institutes, universities has to be established on a legal basis. So there has to be a legal entity bringing together at least 3 countries. So a route needs to have a minimum of 3 countries to exist. The second criteria is it has to be a legal association of towns, municipalities, as I said. So there has to be a legal entity that manages the route. The route needs to have a board, a general assembly, a membership, a budget, financial stability, annual meetings, and so forth. So it has to be a legal basis for the route to exist in the name of a network of associations. And then there is a number of criteria linked to the activities. One is based on the theme of the route. This has to be clearly a European theme that brings together a number of countries around a theme that speak about the history of Europe, art, literature, music, landscape, gastronomy, but there has to be a European story attached to the route that one has to be certified, not just a local story or a national story. It has to be European. There has to be a scientific committee behind the route, university network, some research done, some kind of scientific work behind. And then the route needs to have activities. So the route needs to have a program of activities every year with at least 3 or 4 categories. Educational activities, as I said, activities for youth, for schools, the development of creative artistic products, and also the development of touristic products, with the idea that the route should also develop kind of the engagement of the community and the development of socioeconomic opportunities in the community. These are the basic criteria, and they are contained in the resolution that Miguel Angel can send you. And applications are made through the European Institute of Cultural Routes that we host in Luxembourg. And right now we have 6 or 7 candidates, but the theme, as far as the themes are concerned, these are relatively wide. Could be scientific, a scientific theme such as industrial heritage of Europe, artistic. For example, we have one route now that wants to be certified, is the itinerary of Le Corbusier. He's a famous architect that influenced a lot of buildings around Europe. We have a Leonardo da Vinci cultural route, candidate route. We have the route of the Impressionists for painters that have lived in many parts of Europe. We have other routes that are more linked to religious heritage. So it's really very much an open field, but the common denominator is a European story.
Okay.
I hope, yeah.
No.
Okay.
Did he answer the question? So I will send, and I will put among the papers we are going to send the public the declaration of the enlarged partial agreement. And I will send them also the web of the seat and the seat of the institute, so they can have all the information there.
There's a document that explains very well the criteria for certification.
Okay, we will spread information among the participants.
Good.
So a clap for Stefano. So Stefano, thank you very much. I know you are between conference and we don't want to take you more time. Now we'll have a short presentation of the European cultural route of Charles V, so they can see a clear example of what you are doing and what you are supporting. and the manager of the route of the European routes of Charles V, who is here with us, will explain the audience this project. And I thank you very much for being here with us today, even from the distance. And we really appreciate your participation. Hope to see you very soon in Vilnius.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Miguel Angel. Thank you very much for having invited me to attend, even if through Skype. I hope the connection was good enough to be understood. And the Carlos Quinto is a wonderful route, and we really are very, very grateful to have it incorporated in our family of cultural routes of the Council of Europe, and you will discover a really fascinating project. So congratulations, and have a good continuing the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Stefano. See you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.